Hi there, welcome to this short talk on the use of pre-recorded lessons to help you and your students. Thank you for joining us today. I hope I can make this worth your while. So, to begin with, welcome. Thank you all for being here. My name is Peter Whitfield and I am a teacher living in Jakarta, Indonesia, working for Suci Secondary School. So to begin with, I just want to talk to you about how this came about. Obviously, when the pandemic started, a lot of people started reaching towards EdTech as a way of bringing their classes to their students in an online capacity. I was no different. But to me, it quickly became very clear that there was an abundance of EdTech, and there was actually too much. There's far too much EdTech out there. So I decided to, after an initial period of dabbling, I decided that I wanted to only focus on EdTech that I felt would have a place in my post-pandemic classroom. And I'm really excited because today I'm going to show you what I think is my number one pick that will remain as part of my toolkit when the world goes back to normal. One more thing, please have your QR code scanning phones ready and to hand. There's a few QR codes throughout this presentation that you might want to scan to get some additional content and just to make things a little bit more interactive. Okay. What exactly is it that I'm talking about? Well, I suppose to talk about that, you need to go back to the beginning, which is the good old-fashioned teacher in front of the students giving a short lecture on a topic. Obviously, it's been a mainstay of education for hundreds of years. And while as a global community we may be moving away from this, I still think it does have some place in our teacher toolkit. Not to be relied on for day-to-day use, but as something we can draw on when there's a piece of content that we really want our students to grasp and understand in detail. So I want to take this idea and transform it a little bit. And I propose doing that using pre-recorded super short videos. We're taking a 30, 45-minute, hour or 2-hour presentation, we condense it into a 5 to 15-minute video delivering the content. And this video is obviously pre-recorded, you do it in your own time, maybe at home, and then you deliver it via a appropriate platform which suits your needs. Could be YouTube, could be Edpuzzle, you could even just upload it to Google Classroom. That's a great way to do it too. And students watch this in your class, or if you wanted to do a flipped classroom before class. But the key thing is, they always have access to it. And in a couple of, they can watch it as many times as they want, be it in a couple of days or even a couple of weeks or years. At this point, I would recommend scanning this QR code. There's an example there that I've put together for my students this academic year, which teaches how to make a peel paragraph. It's a super short 6-minute video, but something I might cover in 20, 30 minutes when I'm in class. So have a look at that. What am I discussing today? I'm going to look at the why it is I believe you should be using this as part of your teacher toolkit. I'm going to give you some methods and applications of how you can do it. I can't go into much detail here due to time constraints, but if you'd like to reach out afterwards and discuss it, that'd be absolutely fine. And then after that, I'd like to look at going further. I think this method has a lot more potential than simply short videos, and I'm really excited to talk to you about that part, about where I think it could go after some practice and after some time developing in the classroom. So moving on to why. There are 4 reasons why I think you should be using this occasionally in your class. I don't think it should be an everyday occurrence. Once a week might be the absolute max. So to begin with, it cuts down talking time. This is a planned, pre-recorded, uninterrupted presentation. It should save time in your classroom. We know what it's like when you're standing up talking on a topic. It's very simple to get taken off on tangents, either by yourself or by students asking those questions that they know if they ask them, they can get you talking forever and they don't have to do work. So it gives you more time to be with your students because you're condensing it. You should have already boiled down the information to the bare necessities. And that means instead of talking for 45 minutes, you're going to talk for 10 to 15 minutes, and then you've got that extra 30 minutes to be with your students, help them during a learning engagement, or explain further in areas that they don't understand. Next, it saves your voice. Now, if you're working with 4 classes in the same year group, then chances are you're going to be delivering the same content 4 times. With this, you can just record it once and then have your students hit play on it. It saves your voice because you're not saying it as much. And I think this is a really powerful thing because as a teacher, I think we can mostly admit that our voices are our main resource. If we have nothing else, we always have our voice, and that is hugely powerful. Without our voice, it's not that we can't teach, but maybe we're not as effective as we want to be. So saving your voice, I think, is a really huge positive. 3, it can create easier to follow instructions. You could simply screen record short videos showing your students how to use Turnitin, how to submit an assignment on Google Classroom, or even giving instructions for assignments. And this way they can watch it again and again, go back to it if they forget. And it's easier because explaining things is one thing. Maybe not always the easiest. Screen sharing through Zoom and Google Classroom are okay, but sometimes they're flipped. Actually showing the students through an actual short video where you're doing it yourself, that is really useful for the students and can be very helpful to them to understand it and remember it. 4, and this is where I think it gets really exciting, differentiation. Differentiation is the buzzword of the 21st educational century. You know, we have to be differentiating all the time and everywhere. I don't think we often enough get actual examples of what differentiation is or how we can deliver differentiation while not going to extremes and really punishing ourselves as teachers. This is an example where I think we're really readily differentiating for our students, but doing it in a manner that is manageable and is not going to push us to the extremes. Why is this differentiation? Because by giving these videos, we're acknowledging the fact that students assimilate information at a different pace. We have some students who need to watch this video once and they're done. That's great for them, especially if their teachers like to do a lecture style lesson. But in a lecture style lesson, your words are said and then they're gone, they're lost to the universe. With a video, they're captured, and your students can then watch this video back multiple times. And there are students who may need to listen to it 2 or 3 times, or 5 or 6 times, but we're catering to them because we're giving them the opportunity to listen to what we've said multiple times. And that's massive. That's so important. They can also pause it, rewind it, go slower. That will only help our struggling students more as they try to grasp the information. So how? What do I think you need? Broadly speaking, you need 2 things. You need the content and you need a screen recorder. Screen recorders, there are 3 that I recommend. You've got Zoom and Google Meet. I suppose it's actually 4 if I put those 2 together. Zoom and Google Meet, you can simply create a meeting and record the meeting while you're giving your presentation with no one there. Simple, easy to use, everyone's got access and it should be quite familiar for you. Your next option is Screencastify, which is a Google Chrome extension. Simple to use, it's got some nice tools like a laser pointer. You can actually write on top of your PowerPoint as well. It's got a short time limit of 5 minutes. I think you can get longer, but you've got to pay for the subscription, and I'm not all about that. If you want to, you can. I think it's a great option because of the extra tools, so it's something you might want to keep in mind. And finally, the one I'm using right now, you might see it down in the corner of my screen going off, is ScreenRec. Now, unfortunately, ScreenRec is Windows only, but it's unlimited recording time. It just gives you the option to record your face, your sound, and your whole screen. Super simple, bit more complicated to use than the other 2, but with some practice you will get used to it. Here is a QR code feel free to scan this QR code and it will take you to a PowerPoint with some links to where you can get these applications, but also some videos on how to use them, which you may find really useful. But content-wise, how could you deliver your actual work? And for me, the best way to do that is Google Slides. It just integrates better than PowerPoint. You know, you've got the option to share a tab with Zoom and Google Meet, stop students seeing your cluttered desktop or any private personal tabs that you might have. So I recommend creating everything on Google Slides and then simply recording your screen, much the way I'm doing right now, actually. From there, you need to make your slides a bit interesting, you know, make it a little bit fun for the students to view. 3 ways for that for me. Number 1 would be Bitmoji. You create a likeness of yourself, and it can just be quite comedic for your students. You've seen a few of me already, the one at the beginning and the TV. The students would tell me that they don't look like me much anymore because of the pandemic issues. But you know, I think it looks okay. I think it looks okay. Next up is SlidesGo. SlidesGo create beautiful templates for you to create your content on. It just makes things nicer for the students to look at, a little bit more visually pleasing. It might keep the students 5% more engaged. If it's just 5%, that's still something. We'll take it, and it's a relatively simple process to go through to add them to your slides. QR codes. Again, I'm a huge fan of QR codes. You can link additional material, or if you think a particular topic might cause students to struggle, you could link additional videos that you've created or other content creators have created, and they can go to it and find help or additional resources. But it makes things more interactive and adds an element of choice. Next up, screen share. This could be application or instructions. So simply you share your whole screen and you show the students, maybe in like a Word document or Google Classroom, what it is you want them to do. Moving on, let's look at going further then. This is where things get exciting. Once again, we've got a QR code up in the corner. Please check that out. I think you'll find some really useful material there. To begin with, YouTube. You've made a video, maybe you've edited it. That's up to you, really. I don't think it's necessary. But upload your video to YouTube. I recommend it. You could just use it through Google Drive or upload to Google Classroom, but if you've got a YouTube account, just add it there. It's very simple. There's a video showing you how in the QR code, and you know, it's a novelty for your students. They get to see you on YouTube. It's kind of fun. You could also upload it multiple videos and create a playlist for them on a particular piece of content. You can link the playlist, and the students can go there and watch all your classes on a given topic. Amazing. Next up, this is where I get excited. It's Edpuzzle. If you've already uploaded your video to YouTube, then it's a super simple process to go next level. You can simply search through the URL, find the YouTube video on Edpuzzle, and then you've got a questioning tool there where you can add formative questions. And this is great because you can teach a piece of work and add formative questions to it. Students answer the question. It could be as simple as a multiple choice. And you can see where the students are struggling and specifically which students are struggling. So you know who and what to target when you're done, which is brilliant. You've also got progress charts, and this helps to make sure everyone completes the assignment. So you can actually see which students have finished, which students have only watched so much, and who hasn't started at all, which is really useful for keeping the kids on track and doing their work. And finally, for me, there's no limit to this. When we get back to classes, I've not taught a class in class for about a year and a half, but when I get back and things are back to normal, I'm excited to see where I can take this. Use of QR codes to create augmented reality classes. You can have kids scan certain things around the school or your classroom, and they can get information on their phones as a video. You know, that's so cool and so interactive. Students can make their own videos. You know, you give them the opportunity to use the same technology as you're using. They can create videos themselves, help them teach other students. You can keep the best ones and create a bank of lessons from students. This is my favorite as well, asynchronous meetings. I dream of the day when administrators record a meeting for you and give it to you via Edpuzzle so that they can see you've watched it, and just allow everyone to watch a meeting when it's convenient to them, instead of having to shoehorn everyone in at the last minute on a Monday or Friday. You know, that's amazing. Will it ever happen? Who knows? But then, yeah, who else knows where this can go, guys? I think that there's a lot more imaginative people than I out there, and I really look forward to maybe hearing from you guys what you think this could do. Please do get in touch. Speaking of getting in touch, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I really hope this was useful. I hope maybe I've inspired you with some new ideas. My contact info is on the left, QR code, give it a scan, and also a link to these slides in case there's anything you'd missed. So once again, everyone, thank you